So now I'd like to do the testing where I guess and test on the motivation traits. And I'd like you to pay particular attention to how Monica reacts when I offer her the description and the influencing language for each one of the patterns. And sometimes I'm going to deliberately get it wrong so you can see what it looks like when you guess wrong. It's not a statement about you, it's about our client. We want to guess and test and make sure that we're doing it correctly. Even when you get it wrong, it's superb because the whole point is to see evidence. And when you don't get it right, let's say you tested one particular pattern, you tested internal, but external came back, it's great. It's just two different ways of testing. One confirms and one says, no, it's not that. So Monica, I asked you a few questions about your motivations in being a coach. I'd like to give you some feedback and make sure and test what I'm doing to make sure I got it accurate before I give you the profile. Is that okay?
Great.
The first question that I asked you was, what do you want and what's important to you in your work as a coach? And you told me you want to see your clients have results.
Yes.
Okay, great. And you also said you want to feel that you really help.
Definitely.
Okay. And the last thing you said is you want to be paid for your help.
Definitely.
Great. Super. Now, I start with the criteria, of course, because I want to see how Monica shows me, yes, I've got it right. And when you start with criteria, I just wrote down exactly what she said. Chances are you're going to be right. And then now we go back to the top of the profile and do proactive and reactive. So Monica, in your work, when you're being a coach, you spend a fair amount of time listening and thinking about what your client says, and about half the time you'll intervene and half the time you're kind of receiving. Is that right?
Yes.
So
exactly.
You jump in about 50% of the time, and 50% of the time you're in a more passive role.
Yes, sometimes I pay attention to what they are saying, and sometimes I take more action and I help them through the process or help them finding solutions.
Great, thank you. Notice when Monica responded back to me, I gave her 50-50, half reactive, half proactive. When she responded to me, she gave me exactly that too. So I know that was correct. I listened to how she answered, and that was another clue. So not only did she say, yes, that's right, she proved it to me. Okay. In your work, when you're being a coach, you are totally focused on the objective. You're not worrying about what could go wrong. You're looking at what is the objective, identifying it, how to get there, and really to hit that objective and that target, or whatever it happens to be, the result that your client wants.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm going to do another test. But when you're being a coach, you worry about some of the things that could go wrong for your client. Not so much. Okay, so that was a double test. I tried one, got a great response. I just tried the other. Now, you don't want to provoke your client by doing too much of the opposite pattern because they might not like it. But I just wanted to test a little bit. So it's really, the results are really what you're aiming for.
Definitely.
Okay, super. And when you're being a coach, you know in yourself when you've done a good job. Like you're the one who can tell, you have criteria, you evaluate it, and you can tell.
No. I mean, I have to see that the client gets results. And it's true that I know that the process was right, but at the same time, I have to see that they have outside results.
So do they show you they have results?
They share, yes.
So you know when you're doing the process correctly, but at the same time, that's not enough to be certain you're doing a good job.
Yes, I do the process correctly, and I know that I'm doing the process correctly.
Okay.
And at the same time, it's important for me to see their results.
Okay, so you evaluate whether or not the client has had results. So they come in and they show you and they talk to you about it, but you get a sense in yourself whether they've got the results.
Yes.
Okay, so you generally know. They come in and they say, hey, I'm so happy, but you listen because you have a way of knowing whether that means they've had a result.
Yes.
Okay,
definitely.
super, great. So I had marked 1 point internal and 1 point external. But as I'm giving Monica feedback, we see it's mainly internal. She knows when the client is getting a result because she has a way of evaluating how the client shows her and what they say, and that is her criteria, not the client's criteria. So, Monica, in your work, you love, I'm thinking, being a coach, you have a step-by-step method that you like to use.
Definitely.
And you take your clients through this step-by-step method and all the way to the end.
Yes, I love that that's a clear process, and I love that I know all the steps and there is no space for improvisation. I just need to follow the steps.
Okay, super. Thank you. And one thing that you really like about being a coach is there's kind of a progression. You get better at it. It evolves on your way to mastery. It's a real developmental improvement. And
Yes, definitely.
okay, super. So that's our guessing and testing of the motivation traits. So in the end, if you were counting too and going through the profile, I got proactive, reactive, half-half. You know the criteria we got. They were seeing clients have results, to feel that she really helps, and to be paid for her help. Those were the three major criteria. All toward 2 points internal, no external, and procedures. Monica has a step-by-step way of going through her work with her clients, and sameness with exception. She wants to see improvement. So that was guessing and testing the motivation traits.